When your power goes out, remember just how inconvenient your life can be. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have power when you need it. Our Generac generators automatically provide backup power after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Get a free 10-year warranty with the purchase of any air-cooled generator. Call Generac Generators today. Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
Streaming from the Tampa Bay 28 Weather Center in Studio A, this is Dennis Phillips Live. Brought to you by Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
So, we have a guy over here, a director, his name is Stokes, and he has a knack of always wanting to talk when we're on TV. So he was having, are you done? I'm done. So Stokes is one of our directors. You guys know our director, Jonathan, because Jonathan was all over his game earlier this week when we had the folks from Sharkapalooza here and we were doing the little camera change fast. So, I mean, that was good stuff. But like I was over here doing the weather, I don't know what time, it was like 7:02. And Stokes just talking, and I'm like, 3, 2, 1, and boom, I started talking. And it was hysterical because Jen was over there with her husband, and you're going to meet Jen in a minute. And Stokes was over there talking, and I started on TV, and they just scattered. They scattered like little cockroaches, like just getting out of the way because they were like, oh, no, we're going to be on TV. I'm like, nah, we're good, we're good. We're going to be meeting those folks coming up in a minute. Welcome to Dennis Phillips Live. Stokes, you good? I'm good. Stokes is good. He's over there. It's a Friday. We got so many things going on this weekend. Let's do some hellos as we always do. Let's check in. Again, for whatever reason, Facebook is still not updating on your PC. Well, it does, but on the conversations, on the chats, for whatever reason, it doesn't advance. I don't know why. It's still a bug. I've reported it. Mark Zuckerberg and I are tight. I mean, we're like this. No, it's, they ignore you. Anyway, but they do work on the phone, so we've got our hellos. As always, Terry, how you doing? Nice to see you from Hernando, Anna Maria, Brooksville, Randy. So I got to tell you something. We definitely have someone who's kind of new in the chat because he was very, very polite. And that is something I'm simply not used to. It was Peter. And Peter goes kind of like, if you have a chance, could you please, may I ask permission, what is the rain time on Saturday? Please and thank you. Peter, that politeness just does not fly in this chat group. You're going to get eaten alive. I mean, we're going to be, because it's just for whatever reason, it's just the way it works. But I will answer your question, Peter. But first, specify where you're talking about. Because if you were like talking about Palm Harbor, that would be different than Northport, which would be different from Lakeland, which would be different from anywhere, right? So I will be looking for your location, and I will be happy to answer your question. Jules, how you doing? Nice to see you. Whitney in Sarasota. Lakeland's in the house with Susan. Kim is here from Alaska. Kim, so I have a question for you. Tell me, are you from Florida and you moved to Alaska to get as far away from Florida as humanly possible, or are you an Alaskan and you're like, oh man, I want to live in Florida, so you just follow folks in Florida? Inquiring minds do want to know. What else do we have here? Shore Acres is in the house. Emily, good to see you. No, I'm not going to be at the Rays game tomorrow, Emily. Tomorrow I'm going to. This was a busy week. Today we recorded our hurricane special. And speaking of hurricanes, no, there are no hurricanes out there. However, I'm going to show you something right here. Today, for the first day of this 2026 hurricane season, the National Hurricane Center started issuing their advisories. So as of May 15th, and that would be today, yes, today, you start seeing the advisories. Tropical activity is not expected over the next 7 days. So even though the season doesn't officially run until June 1st, the Hurricane Center knows sometimes a little something. I mean, sometimes we get a little surprise and they're like, hey, you know what? The season doesn't run until June 1st, but we have been known in the Gulf, because that water temperature can easily exceed 80 degrees, which it is right now, but in some areas it's in the middle 80s, and when that happens, you can see something develop. Matter of fact, if we take a look at the long-range forecast for the tropics, while it doesn't look like anything, so there's Saturday, there's Sunday, there's Monday, Tuesday, a lot of nothing, but look down just north of Cuba. You might see the models are trying to develop a little spin. It's a little easier to see right here. So check it out. So, and the euro probably even more so. So here's the euro. And later next week, they're saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we see there it is. See that over on the right side of the screen? See a little something out there? Now that's toward the end of, that's actually coming up on the end of the month. So you can argue that's almost during hurricane season anyway. But the point I'm trying to make is we are coming up on that season. This morning, I went to the Emergency Operations Center in Pinellas County. Really cool building. It's their bunker, right? So whenever there's a big storm, I mean, you had everybody who was in there, and they're hunkered down. And I noticed all the little placards, Duke Energy and Florida Power and, all the law enforcement, emergency management, hundreds of spots. And my first question is, yeah, but where am I up on those screens? They're like, oh, no, you're right there, because they watch us during hurricane season, right? Now, luckily, right now, there's nothing going on, but we did put together our snippets for our Stormwatch special, which I don't really know when it runs. I know it runs sometime later this month, but today we were working on that. Then we were doing tracking the tropics promos over at Indian Rocks Beach, which I was there right after I was doing the stuff for the special. So we were busy today, and the weather was beautiful. So will it be beautiful this weekend? You know what? We got a little taste, a little nibble, a little snack of our summertime pattern, and that starts on Sunday. So let's go ahead and run through the graphics for you. And then we're going to say hello to our guests coming up in a minute, because in my neck of the woods, there's a craft festival coming up this weekend, and we're going to talk about that as well with Jen and Abe. Abe's the artist. Jen's an artist too, right? Jen, you're an artist too, but she kind of is the spokesperson and kind of helping give us an idea of what to expect at that festival this weekend. So anyway, there's a look at radar. Nothing going on. Really nice. Boy, this morning was beautiful, wasn't it? We talked about it yesterday. I mean, we dropped down into the mid-50s in our northern counties. And then right now, we're still in the upper 70s to the upper 80s. I mean, still low 90s, really, from Lakeland over to Winter Haven, back to Bartow, 89 in Wauchula and Riverview. But look at the morning. We started 57 Brooksville, 61 Inverness, 59 Crystal River, mid-70s St. Pete, mid-60s in Lakeland, down to Bartow, all the way down to Venice, dropping down to 68 degrees. And then the highs today, low to mid-90s. Difference is, it was a dry heat. Now, my oven is a dry heat, and it's still uncomfortable if you were to be in there. But when you have a humidity of 33% and a wind out of the north-northwest at 14 miles an hour, that's a nice day and a nice evening. And we are still at 86 degrees, but looking out over from our Feeding Tampa Bay cam, the high today, 91. The average is 88, so we were 3 degrees above average, 4 degrees below the record of 95. The morning low dropped down to 71. There's a look at the satellite picture. It's all quiet. Nothing going on. I mean, the models are saying there might be a quick shower popping up in Hardy, DeSoto, or Highlands County. But on Saturday, and I want to be really clear about this, all right? I've been talking about this for the last few days, And I've noticed it on my feed today on social, on Facebook. Because I'm like you. I mean, I'm just, I'm going to be scrolling through. And all of a sudden, I saw numerous posts today from meteorologists, no less, saying, the rainy season is here. The rainy season is not here. Flat out. We do not get the rainy season in our area in mid-May. Now, sometimes it may come a little early. Historically, for the Bay Area, it kicks in around June 13th to June 20th, right in that ballpark. Now, Southwest Florida does get it sooner, typically the last week in May. So Naples, areas, Fort Myers, even south of Punta Gorda, maybe even Northport, where Jen lives. They sometimes get the rainy season a little earlier, but we do not. So if you are following a page that says, is the rainy season to start, unfollow. I'm telling you, it's just not right. I mean, now, every now and again, if you want to say June 5th, 4th, in that ballpark, yes. And what do we mean by the rainy season? It isn't just a magical thing where Mother Nature, maybe it is, but, whatever flips the switch, it's a matter of how warm the Gulf is. It's a matter sometimes about how warm the Bay is. It's a matter of if the energy and the dynamics are there in the atmosphere to give us what we need, which is rain, without low pressure, without a front. It's just the storms that we're all grown to know and love, unless you're from Alaska and you don't know what that is. But on the flip side, you're not going to get any, you're going to have daylight for the next 3 months without any nighttime. So, maybe you win. But regardless, dew points do start to go up tomorrow, as Ryan said, and we are going to start to see a chance of some scattered showers. And Rays are already up 4-1 over the Marlins, Dave. Thank you very much for that update. So let's go ahead and continue back with Futurecast. So when we have this kind of a pattern, usually you would expect to see it more in June, but we're getting a little taste, a little glimpse. Saturday afternoon, there it is. See in eastern Polk County, eastern Citrus, Hernando, a couple of scattered showers. And then by about 7 or 8 o'clock, look at the line set up. That looks like summer. So a lot of folks have been saying, okay, so you're saying I need to cancel my plans, or I need to, because we're going to have some rain. Do you cancel your plans in the middle of July because it might rain in the afternoon? I say you probably don't, and you shouldn't this weekend as well. Yes, there will be some scattered storms. Yes, if you hear thunder, as the Weather Service always says, when thunder roars, go indoors. Sure, if you hear thunder, you might see some scattered storms. But overall, the threat is extremely low for any kind of significant thunderstorm activity. We're not looking about severe weather like the tornadoes we had earlier on this week. It's just going to be a kind of a feel of mid-June, or mid-July rather. So that'll happen more on Sunday than it will be on Saturday, and even still, starting inland and coming back toward the west. So there's the good news. We need the rain. Look, we're in a big drought. I'm telling you, by this winter, when El Nino really kicks in, we are going to have more rain than we want. Mark my words, we are going to be out of a drought by this winter, and not because of the summer season, even though that's a possibility that could help. You get an El Nino late fall and early winter, inevitably we get a lot of rain, and potentially some strong storms too. More December, January, and February, and it will be warm, so that would be rain, not snow, folks. Anyway, there's a look at your temperatures, low 90s, and there is the rain forecast. Pretty solid coverage on Sunday. And I get it. You look at that and you're like, oh, man, it's a washout. No. Morning will be dry. Most of the afternoon will be dry. The rains that pop start inland and work their way west. Same thing on Monday. And honestly, that's what I think is kind of interesting, because ultimately, with all the ingredients out there that we talk about in terms of when it's going to rain and where that rain's going to form, the overwhelming majority of the time, it all boils down to the direction the wind's blowing. That's it. Honestly, in the summer, that is it. You can talk about Tut lows. You can talk about Bermuda highs. There's so many variables that you can talk about. But at the end of the day, for our area, you get a west wind, most of the rain will be east of I-75. You get an east wind, most of the rain is west of I-75. And for our viewing area, most folks prefer east to southeast wind, because that brings the rain all the way back to the coast, because Polk County is going to get it either way, right? Inland areas, they're going to see it either way. That's why their drought numbers are usually a lot better in Polk County and Highlands than folks who live along the coast. But anyway, there is a look at the rain, and there's your boating conditions. For tomorrow, water temperature 80 degrees, southeast winds at 5 to 10 knots, light chop on the bay. The beach forecast looks great. Eric in Orlando watching tonight. How you doing? And Alexis is asking about the King ride. I'm assuming she means the King tide. I'm assuming. And I will mention that as well. There's a look at the beach forecast. And lastly, there is the 7-day. Rain chances bump up about 50-60% coverage on Sunday and into Monday. But overall, it is more late day, early evening stuff. King tide. We often hear about it when there's a tropical storm, because more often than not, when you have rising water from a tropical storm, which we do not, no systems out there, but when you get rising water from a tropical storm, you throw in a king tide, which is just the highest tide of the month. That's all it means. And that fluctuates obviously based on the positioning of the moon. So if you are at a king tide at the same time that you are having a tropical storm around, remember Eta? Remember Tropical Storm Eta? I mean, there were folks that had water in their houses, and it was just a weak tropical storm, but it coincided with a high king tide, the highest tide of the month, an onshore flow, and a weak tropical storm. And we had a 5 or 6 foot surge in some areas in a very weak system. So this weekend, it will be a king tide. So the areas that flood, like in the Bayou and Tarpon Springs, you know, areas where sometimes the water can go up on the roads, that absolutely could be an issue at the time of high tide. But overall, it's not going to be a big thing. All right. So anyway, we got, you're right, Nancy, we really desperately need the rain. There is no doubt about that. But there are so many events going on this weekend. We've talked about already this week, we talked about Sharkapalooza, which is going to be at Coachman Park tomorrow. And we've talked about the musical Six, which you guys know. I love that musical. It's awesome. My daughter and I, we got a behind-the-scenes thing, and we ran video of it yesterday on DPL. That's going on this weekend as well. But in my neck of the woods, and my neck of the woods would be Palm Harbor, Tarpon Springs area, there is a really cool event both tomorrow and on Sunday. And we are here with Abe and Jen to talk about the Palm Harbor Art Fest. How you guys doing?
Good.
Super.
Doing good?
Great.
All right,
Yeah.
so tell the folks, well, first of all, tell us what we're looking at. So tell us the artwork that we're showing, and then we'll talk about the event and how folks can take part.
Good.
Because it's one of many. I mean, Jen, we were talking about this. I mean, the group that puts this on, there's a lot of art. Matter of fact, there's another one going on in Pittsburgh this weekend as well. So tell us a little bit about the event itself, I guess.
All right. So this is Abe. Abe, go ahead and tell them about your beautiful work.
Okay. Well, I'm a photographer, and I transfer photos onto locally sourced wood. It's been my primary endeavor for 15 years, and I go to big art festivals like American Craft Endeavors Palm Harbor Festival this weekend. The synergy between grain and photo is the most artistic part of my process, other than the composition of my photos. And I work with all locally sourced wood in my own images.
Abe, we were talking earlier. You have an interesting story because you live in Gulfport now, but you've been all over the place. I mean, from Daytona to Hawaii. I'm curious, have your travels impacted your artwork and how you do it? And for that matter, you were saying that the wood that you get there, you used to do quite a bit of that when you were in Hawaii, yes?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. The way that my art career started was I was seeing all these beautiful things in Hawaii and wanted to capture them better than what a cell phone camera from 2012 would do. So I got a nice camera, and I was already pursuing beauty in nature just for passion. And then I figured out that taking photos of what I was seeing was something that I appreciated and actually got pretty good at it. So that's basically how it started. And stumbling into this wood transfer process sort of catapulted me into becoming a professional artist because I had this unique idea that really resonated with nature lovers and art lovers.
What's the process? I'm curious. I mean, how long does it take, and what do you actually do, or is that giving away trade secrets?
Well, actually, I learned it on the internet. So I was a graphic designer at a print shop, and somebody wanted to do this process with their baby photos and said, well, your machines print where I can put them on wood. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's called a gel transfer medium. I'm like, okay, let me Google this real quick. And sure enough, laser ink transfers onto wood with what's called a matte gel medium. It's actually used with acrylic paint. It's chemically identical to wood glue. So it absorbs laser ink and leaves it onto the wood. Some finesse details to get a good transfer, but it's kind of like a temporary tattoo, except it's permanent.
Really interesting. And how long does the process take?
So the consideration is either instant or months, how the photo and wood can come together, depending upon how radical the wood is and how lucky I am with finding the right photo. Just a couple of minutes to put the gel on, 6 hours for the gel to dry, and then like the pieces that are on display here, anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes to remove all the paper.
Interesting. So Abe is going to be part of the art festival, and Jen, you're here. Well, first of all, you are an artist, but you also are a spokesperson, I guess, for the festival. So we already see Charlotte already posted the link for the festival. It looks like it's artfestival.com and /festivals. The link is on the chat, so if you want to click on it, you can see. So Jen, tell us what folks can expect and how they get there and what are the hours of operation.
Sure. So it's on Florida Ave. It's 10 to 4 both Saturday and Sunday. And what's a unique thing about this festival that you're going to go to is that all of the artists have been juried. So out of thousands of applications, the artists that you see here and the crafters are the ones who were chosen from all those applications. And it's one of my favorite things going to these, being an artist myself, is seeing other people and how they express their creativity and their whole stories and processes, just like what Abe was saying.
You know, and Jen, that's something I've had the privilege of working with Gasparilla Festival of Arts for several years. And I think that's what's so cool, because these artists really do have stories, and many times their art is a reflection of their lives, making it so personal.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's
well,
true.
So, and Jonathan, are you in the control room? Are you at what? Thank you. when Jen talks. Okay. Anyway, Jen,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, you are 100% right. When you go to the Palm Harbor Festival, you're going to go and every person you meet has handcrafted what you're going to see. Their hands have done it, and their creativity has come out of their own story, their own creativity and their own life. And it's amazing to listen to all of these crafters and artisans and hear what started it for them. Like, just a crazy story is mine was COVID. I had a very extrovert job, and I got to be an introvert and said, let me try this. And here we are, 5+ years later.
That's an interesting thought, and I've never really thought about that. So, as you both are artists, do you like it when people come up and talk to you about how you've come to where you are? I mean, I always just thought, I'll be honest, I'm an amateur when it comes to this stuff. You know, you don't call them vendors, I get it, but a lot of these artists do sell their products, and I just always figured, well, you know, this is their living, and they need to sell this to make a living. But it sounds like it really is so much more personal. So do you like to share that with the people who are coming up, or is that really depending on the artist?
I do.
Oh, I love it. The story around my art and how it connects with the people that are observing it. And, you know, it inspires them to share their story. And then when our art goes home with people, and there's other people that interact with our art that we never met, that story continues, and the connection with the art has a unique value that doesn't exist in many other things.
Abe, I'm curious, have you done other types of art other than what you're doing right now at the Wood? Did it just get to this point as you've progressed throughout your life?
No, I have a degree in psychology. I ran a tire shop.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was a real estate broker. It's funny, everybody else in my family is like artists, you know, art degrees and, you know, very competent technical artists. I can't paint or draw or sculpt. I'm good with equipment, camera, sander, etc.
That is really fascinating. So you just kind of fell into it in something that you just thought this is kind of cool, and then it became a passion for you. And I mean, did you ever dream that that would be the progress that you would go, especially when you were in Hawaii? Because I'm fascinated by that. You said you used to get the wood that you use actually there in Hawaii, and that was kind of how you started with that.
Yeah, I found a farm through a mutual friend that grows endemic native koa, and I bought their scraps, their weird pieces, the stuff that didn't make good lumber, because it's weird enough for my art. And it was a great win for both of us, because I bought the hard to sell stuff, and it was easy for me to sell because it was really cool looking. You know, the biggest thing about my art is I'm not like technically with my hands creative. I'm creative with how things come together. You can be creative and create a great story and just a feeling without being technically proficient. If you get the feeling, it's great art. You don't have to be a mastermind technically, just connect with people.
And I think that resonates with people seeing it as well, because it is such a personal experience. I mean, somebody might look at something and it doesn't speak to them, and then other people, it's everything to them. And I guess it's kind of a cool thing when you create that and you see that relationship with the people when they're looking at your art.
Yes,
Very much.
It's a lot of fun to see the twinkle in somebody's eye, and they go, well, they fell in love, and you just let them fall in love. You don't have to be like, you know, this is going to be gone, or I'll make you a deal. No, they love the art. It's not about the money. It's about the connection, and they get it. And that's the best part about being an artist and making pretty things to give to people.
And Jen, you find that as well?
100%. 100%. Some of the best part of doing this is seeing the look on somebody's face when they walk in, and they'll just stop, and you know that your work has connected with them, and then they get to take it home and, you know, make their house beautiful. And yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. So tell folks how they can bring some of the art home, and specifically now, if you're not familiar with Palm Harbor, Florida Avenue, it's right there. They'll usually have the area blocked out right in the middle of Palm Harbor. You can't miss it. There's also lots of other places to go walk around, a lot of restaurants. I mean, it's my hometown, so obviously I'm partial to it, but you'll have a great afternoon. So this is both Saturday and Sunday. I remind folks the specifics and maybe some of the other things they might see there as well.
Yeah, it is both Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 4, right on Florida Ave. It's free to get into. You get to just walk the street. We have over 50 artists and fine crafters. You're going to find everything from dips and food and plants to jewelry, glass, apparel, and then beautiful pieces like what Abe makes, lots of cool artistry. And, you know, every piece is unique, so walking through, you can come home with something that nobody else has, meet some great people, and share maybe even your own story.
Oh, that is awesome. That is great. Well, thank you so much for coming out, guys. I really appreciate it. I think the weather will be just fine. Sunday, you might see a little shower maybe late in the afternoon, but I think Saturday looks okay. And again, for folks just tuning in, we'll have a minute left on our stream. One last look at the 7-day. There it is. High temperatures low to mid 90s tomorrow. Rain chances about 30%, most of that inland. So I see there was a question about a party at 2 p.m. over by Shady Hills. You should be fine. On Sunday, I do think there's a better chance of that coverage expanding. It's all going to move from east to west. Highs in the low to mid 90s. I do think the timing will be all afternoon and evening, and it should be great. By the way, happy birthday, Eric. Congratulations. Enjoy your weekend out there. But yeah, I think we're looking really, really good. It's going to finally be a taste of our summer weather, which we certainly need around here, as dry as it's been, and that drought continues. So again, Abe and Jen, thank you so much for coming out. Again, Palm Harbor, the Arts and Crafts Festival this weekend, Florida Avenue, right there in downtown Palm Harbor. Other events going on. The weather should cooperate. Watching for a few showers out there on Sunday. So folks, have a great night, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on our next edition of Dennis Phillips Live on Monday. Have a good one. All right, we are done with streaming, and let me make sure that I have all the questions answered on Facebook. I think I do. Let's see. Yeah, we look good. So, all right, guys. So have a great night, have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. All right, we will have if you do go to Palm Harbor, I'm probably going to be over there late morning, early afternoon, and check out the art as well. So definitely come on over and say hi. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you on Monday night's edition of Dennis Phillips Live. See ya.